So as you know, today we are going to focus on how to craft your story and deliver your pitch. So by the end of this training, you will have both a personal narrative and a short, clear elevator pitch that you can use to recruit members, introduce the Secular Student Alliance, and also inspire action on your campuses. Great. So a bit about storytelling, this first slide here. Storytelling has always been a way to move people to act. Hate to draw on religious references, but Martin Luther King sparked the Protestant Reformation by nailing 95 Theses to a door. American Revolution gained momentum through Thomas Paine's Common Sense. More recently, Egyptian activists used Facebook to fill Tahrir Square. We also see things like the March for Our Lives being sparked by the stories of young people who have been through a very personal experience with gun violence. So, we may not be launching a revolution here, or, we may not be a directly political organization, but when we share our stories, what they do is normalize secular identity and help connect you with new potential members and really lay the groundwork for a force of change on your campuses and in your communities. So today we'll focus on developing those stories. We'll talk a little bit about the CASE framework. I'm sure you're familiar. CASE stands for Community, Advocacy, Service, and Education. And we'll use that to help structure our stories. And so first, I just want to ask a quick question of you all. Can you just think of an example here of a story, maybe a speech, a book, or a social media post that changed the way that you thought about something? Does anything come to mind?
Um, I'm trying to get my brain working. Um, in the research lab that I'm in recently, we were talking about a new project to take a look at how misinformation spreads, especially with like how it pertains to reproductive health care. And we were having a discussion about some things, and one of the things came up was uh, this idea that contraception always leads to weight gain, and I believed that, right? So I make a point, to argue this point, and um, they were like, "Well, no, because here are the actual facts," and it made me take a step back and realize, that I am certainly not infallible. Um, but I think that I feel like that answers the question. I feel like I was trying to get at that. But it caused me to really think about the way that I consume media and stories um, and things like that.
Yeah, great. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next slide, Chase. Great. Crafting your powerful personal narrative. Your personal story is really your most powerful tool. For many of us secular students, coming out, for lack of a better term, is difficult. And you may risk friendships or family tension. I know for me, my partner's family is extremely religious, and he came out as gay. And let me tell you, the non-religious stuff was, oh goodness, really drove a wedge in their relationship in a way that his sexuality didn't. So, coming out can be very difficult, and it's associated with a lot of personal storytelling. So, personal narratives can really humanize the secular identity, as we all talk about, sort of um, you know, uh, dispelling myths about atheists and things that were all some kind of like evil cult or something. So your personal narrative has the power to really humanize your non-belief and your secular identity. When someone hears your why, um, they're much more likely to connect with the group if they agree, or to stand in solidarity with your group if they may not agree as much. It may help dispel some tension. Um, so I want you to think of a quick story um, that in your life that may open the door to deeper conversations. Um, and we'll just take a minute to think about it. No one needs to share anything too personal, but is there a story in your life right now that you already use that you use to open the door to a deeper conversation about an issue? Or maybe it's something you're already doing with your club on campus. I can say for me, I used to work with the Human Rights Campaign, really large LGBTQIA civil rights group. And I always used to tell a personal story around coming out for the very first time. Um, and it was really powerful because um, it is really what led me to the Human Rights Campaign to begin with. I remember sitting next to a friend of mine who was actually writing a research paper about marriage equality. So I felt like, oh, this is an accepting person. And then I looked over on her screen, and she had a Human Rights Campaign website up on her laptop. And so I told myself, this is the time to maybe, tell someone for the very first time your story. So I went to the bathroom and sort of splashed some water on my face, took a couple deep breaths, and went back in that room. And you know, quite frankly, said what I needed to say to my friend, what I've been holding in for so long. And it was because of my friend's connection to a broader social movement, her willingness to listen to groups like HRC that gave me the confidence as a young person to come out for the very first time to a friend of mine. So that is one story that I used to use quite frequently when recruiting canvassers for the project or explaining my connection to the organization. I think we have a hand up. Is there someone else that has a great story to share?
Yes. Hello everyone.
Hi.
My name is Anthony. I am from the University of Illinois at Chicago. So, Chicago, Illinois. So I grew up very religious in a Mexican Roman Catholic household, and I leveraged the fact that I was very religious to my advantage. So usually when I meet people that and I tell them my story from going from theist to atheist. I I always mention the fact that I was uh in the choir, I was in the Bible courses, I was an altar boy, I was in the youth group, and et cetera, et cetera. And this usually catches their attention. They're like, wow, like you went from doing all of that and now you don't, believe in God. And they usually follow up with so many questions like, why this, why that. And I just think it's I think that's been very beneficial to me. And like I said, getting their attention. And, I usually, I like this quote. I use this quote often. Is I didn't, I did not fall from faith. I rose to reason. And I think that just that summarizes my story. How, I just learned a lot. Uh, and and I think it just goes to show the person I'm talking to that you can too. So that's the personal narrative that I use.
Great. And I do you see we have Raphael's hand raised, but I do want to just pause for now, save these stories because we're actually about to head into a writing exercise, and we'll have some additional time to share.
Okay.
But you all understand the point being made here, right? The personal connection is really the sort of power behind your storytelling. So now I want to take a minute to engage in a brief writing exercise. So I want everyone to pull out just a piece of paper. Some scrap paper is fine, or open up a blank Word document on your computer. Give you a couple minutes, just a few seconds to pull that open before I continue. Um, so I want to for you each to write down a few sentences answering two of these prompts. I'm going to give you three prompts, and I want you to go ahead and write down a few sentences answering one of these prompts. So the first one is, why are you starting this new group on your campus? Or um, why do you put in the effort to continue the group on your campus if you're one of our veterans here? Second prompt is, why did you take on a leadership role? And the third question is, how does your community, the Secular Student Alliance, or maybe a community similar to SSA, if you haven't really started building your community yet, how has it improved your life in tangible ways? So I want you to keep it specific. So instead of saying like something like, I wanted community, describe a moment when you realized that you needed community. So for example, um, during a campus prayer rally, or gather around the flagpole to pray. We all know these things. Um, I felt invisible, right? So during a campus prayer rally, I felt invisible. And that's when I realized in that moment that like I needed a community. Um, and that's why SSA, grabbed my attention, or that's why SSA matters to me. So I want to give you, I'm going to set a quick timer for just 2 to 3 minutes here. It's going to be real quick. And I want you all to answer at least two of those prompts. So again, why are you starting the group? Why did you take on leadership or become an officer? And how has SSA improved your life in one tangible way? And remember, be specific, try to be detailed, but 2 to 3 sentences, something pretty short. Um, so we'll go ahead and start the timer, and at uh, about 3 minutes from now, so probably 4:21 my time, 7:21 East Coast time, we'll have some people share out. So Great. So I want to start going around and sharing. Do you remember that this is going to just serve as sort of a seed for the rest of our elevator pitch? And later on in this training, we're actually going to be practicing delivering that pitch. So there'll be plenty of time to share your stories. For the purposes of this portion of the training, let's just all go around and share just 2 to 3 sentences. Uh, that you chose from one of those prompts. So I'm going to go ahead and just call out on some folks. Again, you're not required to participate, so if you don't want to, that's totally fine. Great. So we can start with maybe Raphael, because Raphael had his hand up a bit ago. 2 to 3 sentences addressing one of those prompts.
I mean, for most of, thank you, Sean. I guess, I mean, honestly, for most of my life, I always had to adapt to fit in. No, I had to adapt to survive. Because if I didn't had to lie about who I was, I would have been homeless. But for now, I don't want to do it anymore. I want to be my authentic self, and I can't. If I can't do it, I'll have to create the space to do it. I'll do it myself with the help of others. Hence why I want to be an officer in this group. I think I was a little bit longer than 2 or 3 sentences, but.
Yeah, that was great. Wanted to live authentically and wanted to create a space for you and people like you. It's great. Um, we'll continue around the circle. How about Killian?
Yeah, so in terms of why I'm starting this group, honestly, I just wanted to because I had one previously, but that's the real answer. But the one that I have for this instance is, there's an interfaith center on campus. And I actually reached out to them to see if, they did anything with non-religious students, and they were like, no, they kind of like really shut me down on that. Um, and I was like, wow, like, non-religious students aren't really welcome at the Interfaith Center. So, like, that was part of the reason. And also, the state legislature is passing very strict anti-DEI bills. And I just want to make sure that we're visible as individuals on campus as a part of that diversity, and also to be allies to other marginalized groups.
Great. Aaron?
Sure. When I first got to UIUC, I was super excited to participate in, Quad Day, right? The legends that I had heard about it, and UIUC is a big school. There's around 800 registered student organizations, so I thought for sure, I would find one that was explicitly secular, um, but I didn't, and I wanted to change that was the big thing. But another thing is, I know how difficult it is to find community compared to how kind of easy it is whenever you're in a religion. You can go on any street corner and you can find a church, but it's a little bit more difficult to do that when you don't kind of have these set of rules, or I guess dogma that's uniting you. So I wanted to create a space where that community could exist.
Great. And now got one more person with us, Anthony.
All right. So I answered the first prompt. Why did I start this new group? First and foremost, I strongly believe a secular society is a more ethical, educated, and inclusive society. As we all know, religious groups tend to be right-wing and conservative, which in turn leads to harmful laws and policies such as anti-abortion, pro-gun, anti-vaccines, etc. In addition, it is common to be approached on my college campus by theistic groups, which is so annoying. Like, oh man, like I swear it's like almost every day. And those like just like it's almost like routine. Like they'll just hand you like off either a brochure or even sometimes even like tiny Bibles. And so creating this group would create a counterbalance to that, and also reflect a more help you reflect more representation. Because as we know, secular secular population, especially amongst younger people, is growing. So for all those reasons is why I am creating this group.
Great. Excellent. Thank you, everybody, for participating and sharing. So now we're going to sort of take some of those motivations, the answers to those prompts, expand on them a little bit, give them some structure, and craft a compelling pitch. So you really want to focus on the what's in it for me when advertising, highlighting really what the audience can gain for participating. Try to use the word you as much as possible and incorporate some of our case framework into the pitch as well. So before we start, I want to go ahead and drop in the chat a little worksheet. It's pretty basic, but a worksheet that you can pull up. You can print out, use it for the future, however you want to use it. You can just keep it up on your screen to help guide you right now. That's fine. And we're going to use it to craft a longer pitch. So, think of this as more than just 2 or 3 sentences, but something like a minute long story. So we're going to structure this story in the following ways. So you're going to start with a hook. So start with a clear, vivid image or a reason. Okay, so one of the examples we just heard was about a student activities fair in which Aaron did not find a secular specific organization, and how did that make him feel, right? And so that's a great example of painting a vivid image. A reason, right? So Anthony just painted a great reason why having a secular society is important. And so start with a hook, all right? Then you're going to move on to the stakes. So explain why it matters. This is kind of like the why here, why now sort of part of your pitch. I think it was maybe Killian, I think, that mentioned some of the more political reasons to start a group, some of the anti-DEI framework, that's going on in Kentucky specifically. And so explain why it matters to the here and now, right? Sometimes like tackling change on such a really broad, basis is hard for people to imagine versus like one, thing that's very specific to the here and now can really help pull people along. Then you want to provide your proof. So share one fact, success, or detail about your group. And then finally, your ask, invite them to act, to sign up as a new member, to get more information about our scholarships and information about our next local meetings, to join your email list, to attend a meeting later in the same day, right? So you want to incorporate those 3 elements. And before we do that, I also just want to talk a little bit about the case framework again. So incorporating case into your pitch. So the case framework, as you all probably know from our handbooks and things, stands for community advocacy, service, and education. And it's really at the core of a lot of the things we do, from planning activities to creating well-balanced chapters. And it can also help you make your case for secularism. So um, for instance, community, the primary purpose of an SSA chapter may be for you to provide a safe, judgment-free space for secular and non-religious students. Advocacy, this involves activities maybe such as writing letters to the editor, or maybe doing nonpartisan voter registration drives. This may include participating in rallies or doing tabling events, or at UTSA, for example, they give out Plan B contraception. So, you know, a lot of great advocacy work happening. So incorporate maybe one aspect of that. And then service. So the component really focuses on making the world better, eliminating stereotypes that only religious people serve, and building friendships through projects. So service work can also help us tear down stigma against non-theists, and show them that we're all, you know, here to contribute to the same sort of global society, if you will. So a good example of that might be the secular spring break that students go on every year with the Secular Student Alliance. And then finally, education. So this emphasizes informing both members and the broader community about science, philosophy, religion, and current events, correcting misinformation, etc., discussing issues that affect secular people. This is like sort of your philosophy club kind of Secular Student Alliance that many of our chapters are engaged with, that are really having some in-depth philosophical conversations and doing a lot of educating when they're out in public and at their meetings. So some of those things include hosting speakers, conferences, tabling, debates, discussion, and awareness campaigns. So I want you to like incorporate that case framework when you are addressing the proof, right? So that third section, to share one fact, success, or detail of what you're trying to get out of the group, or one thing that you all are doing, right? Sometimes it can seem like, okay, that all sounds great, but what is the one thing that they're focused on, right? Narrow in on that, okay, using the case framework. So here's some examples just in like really just one sentence examples. So one for community. SSA is where non-religious students find each other. Simple. Advocacy. We stand up for the separation of church and state. Simple. Service. We volunteer together and we live our values. Education. We host debates, speakers, and panels that open minds. So weave one or two of these into your pitch so that people can see right off the bat that you're looking to offer something tangible to the campus community right away. Great. Delivery matters just as much as content. And so you want to make sure during your delivery, we can move to the next slide. Oh, great. You have it, Chase. Thank you. You want to be polite, friendly, professional, because it's hard to be rude to someone who's genuinely kind. Beyond storytelling, some principles here could be show up early and prepared, be polite and friendly, be approachable. So, not be segmented off into little cliques in your chapter, or, one of the things we do a lot is tabling, maybe like sitting behind a table and, not in front of the table where people can approach you. And then, doing things like using your QR code that we just created as a sign-up sheet to create follow-up is very professional. And it will allow you to also follow up afterwards with thank yous for visiting the table, for example. Nice talking to you earlier today. I again want to invite you to this meeting that we're holding. So really having a tight follow-up plan to follow that last part of your elevator pitch, which is that ask. All right. So yeah, just know that your demeanor is, really part of your pitch. How you show up in this space shows people that the group is safe, welcoming, and professional, someplace that they grow and feel welcome. All right. Awesome. So what I want you all to do now is I'm going to give you all a little bit of time. I'm going to say 10 minutes this time, okay? And I want you to like actually write it out, okay? Like actually use this time to write some of these things down for yourself. You'll be surprised what writing can do to just a simple idea, right? So we'll actually go back in the slides here. Go back one, Chase, so we can put this back on the screen also. And I want you all to use this, excuse me, the a worksheet that I just sent out in the chat. Did everybody receive that? To go ahead and create your elevator pitch. So I will also drop it in the chat for those of you who weren't able to open the document, or maybe you don't have a computer in front of you or something, or you're doing it on your phone, what have you. And you can use that to go ahead and start your pitch. So again, remember the first part is part one, your personal story, discovering that why. And then you're going to actually build your elevator pitch out from that. Okay. So again, delivering that hook, providing those stakes, proof, and ask. All right. And again, that we don't want to like over complicate this too much, right? So this has a great example here. I remember feeling invisible at a campus prayer rally. Students like me need to feel safe in a community to be ourselves, express ourselves, talk about our ideas. So for example, last semester we hosted a speaker and organized a food drive to be of service to the local community. So, if you're with us, I'd love to invite you to join us Thursday night for our first meeting, right? So talking about something rather quick, all right? And that gives you the ability to sort of recruit people on the fly, right? I don't want it to be that simple. I want you to incorporate some of your own stories here. But we should try to keep it to a minute to 2 minutes in length at the most, okay? So I'm going to drop this in the chat so you can use it to structure your pitch. And then when we come back, we're going to share these pitches with the group. And then we will share this video training with everybody across the country. And hopefully we've got great stories being told not just on your campuses, but in campuses nationwide. So I'm drop this here for you. And we will go ahead and take about 10 minutes to draft your pitch. And then we'll spend 10 minutes delivering those pitches. Okay, we can flip back to the other slide, cheese. Forward. All right. So now time to practice a little bit. Um, so we'll go ahead and issue just kind of quick scenario so y'all can put yourself in that place. So you're at a table on campus, say at like a campus club fair, a student activities fair. And a student walks up and says something simple like, what are you all about? Um, and this will be your response. Is a quick story about the organization and what you're doing, and followed by an ask. So I'll take volunteers this time to share their elevator pitch. Someone want to go first?
I'll go.
Great. And then, Aaron, by chance, did you happen to uh, use this format specifically when crafting this?
Yes.
Great. Would you mind sharing your screen with everyone if you can? Is there a way to do that? Oh, you got it here on a.
Okay.
Great, great.
Yeah, I
Um,
like to handwrite things.
So maybe just give us the pitch, and then when you're done, just briefly point out for everybody um, those four portions: the hook, stakes, proof, and ask, so they can have a our listeners out there can hear sort of the framework we're using to develop these stories.
Sure, no problem. Okay. So when I first arrived on campus, I was surprised to find that there was no explicitly secular RSO. Um, and I knew that a common thing for secular folks, especially those who are just recently deconstructing from religion, is that they might experience a lack of community. And I hope to change that. So, at a time when state-sponsored Christian nationalism is on the rise, advocating for separation of church and state is paramount. So, not only could you gain a community of like-minded folks, but you could actively join efforts to promote secular ideals like critical thinking and reason-based ethics. Just last semester, we held several Ask an Atheist events where we were able to facilitate meaningful conversation and dispel the ever common myths about atheists. So, if you would like, here is a QR code where you can join our group me and stay up to date on our meetings, events, and other just kind of general happenings. Also, feel free to grab a piece of candy. I always like to bring candy. Um, so to kind of break it down where it is the first portion, the hook, I kind of took that personal story and turned it into the hook. So realizing that there was no secular RSO and also identifying the need for community that a lot of folks like us usually find themselves in. Then for the stakes, I added in the portion about, the rise of Christian nationalism and the need for um, actually talking about the separation of church and state. For the proof, I talked about last semester, holding the Ask an Atheist events. And then for the Ask, I did the QR code. I did add kind of a portion in there in the middle, just because there was a slide where we talked about kind of using those you statements and factoring in like what's in it for you. So I smushed that kind of in between the stakes and the proof section just to kind of be like, here's what you get, other than the candy, of course.
Great. Yeah, snaps all around for that one. Great. We'll have another volunteer go, same thing. You're at your table and someone approaches you, asks what you're all about.
I can go next. I don't care too. Oh,
Okay, yeah.
Raphael had. I think Raphael raised his hand first.
Raphael, if you raise your hand first, let's have you go.
Well, it's funny because if Keely, I was say if you insist, you can go. I feel like I talk a lot.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's funny, actually, my stories would be a little bit similar to Aaron because I was gonna say if someone approached at my table, it's like, hi, my name is Rafael Lopez. I'm the president here at SSA. The reason I started this club because I realized there wasn't a club for people like me, and I was raised to believe you're either part of the problem or part of the solution. So and I honestly just wanted a group for people just to say that I'm not religious and feel respect and feel safe. People should feel that way, that the same all the time ever. And really, there's no space that's intentionally built for that until me and some of my friends create this group. And we just want to just be a place where we be a sanctuary for people who just don't fit in, don't really quite fit in with the norm. And we don't just be a sanctuary for each other. We actually do some good work. For example, my chapter was the only chapter that had more than one student send a kid to secular spring break. It's like, oh, trying to spring break, and we actually went to Florida, Pasco County, and we built homes for Hilton Moline. It's like, dude, all I ask is you give us a chance here. Just come to our meeting on 7:30 and just give us a chance. If you don't like it, then don't. Then that's fine. Just give us a chance. And you don't give, but there's some candy or stickers you want, so help yourself. I was trying to get much more like, I guess like try to be more humble, not traditional. Try to, I guess like, not play it cool, but not trying to, not play it cool, but try to play like really more calm and easygoing. But still earnest.
Great. Yeah, it's an elevator pitch. Supposed to be quick, earnest, calm, all of those things. Definitely. Great. Yeah. Who is next? Who wants to go next? Killian? Maybe no?
Yeah, sure. So I kept it really short because I didn't know, like, I mean, we've only got like 3 minutes left, but like, so my hook is I remember feeling misunderstood when people have talked to me about God and they think that it makes me odd or immoral that I don't believe in God. And then for the stakes, I had we need to be visible in the community to show people we don't need God to be a good person. For my proof, I put last semester we collaborated with a local religious college to host a panel on the role of religion in the public sector. And for the ask, I said you can join us later in September as we pack and distribute groceries to impoverished neighborhoods in the city with Change Today and Change Tomorrow, as a way to give back to the community and dispel those myths.
Great. And finally, we'll share one more story and then we'll wrap.
Hmm. Okay.
Anthony? Yeah.
So
Mm.
I my hook was a question. Um so my first question is, what are your religious beliefs? And and depending on what they say follows what I'm gonna say next. So if they say they're not religious, agnostic, such atheists, I'm gonna say, oh, awesome, this is a perfect club, I mean, a perfect organization for you. And then I'll skip directly to probably the ask. But if they say, so and so religious group, then I would follow up by saying, do you ever find yourself questioning something your, for example, pastor said, or something you read in the Bible, or your beliefs altogether? And once again, according to what they say determines what I say next. But if they say yes, then I will follow up by saying, I was just like you. I grew up in the Catholic Church, was an altar boy, dot, 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 dot. And then I'll give them the anecdote um, from my personal story. And then finally, for the stakes, I will say more and more young people who grow up religious are becoming educated and start questioning their beliefs. However, many do not know how to navigate this journey and are often scared to express themselves out of fear of judgment or any other reason. And then for the proof, according to a 2023 Pew Religious Landscape Study, among 18 to 29-year-olds, approximately 45% identify as religiously unaffiliated, which includes atheist, agnostic, or nothing in particular. And then finally, the ask is similar to everyone else. Scan this QR code to our group me, follow us on Instagram. Feel free to get some snacks or stickers.
Great. Awesome. A lot of elevator pitches sprinkled throughout. Very cool. So to close, do remember that history shows us that stories are what drives change, whether, religious leaders like Martin Luther King, or secularists like Thomas Paine, or students in our time leading March for Our Lives. Stories can change culture and can change the narrative on your campus. As a reminder, SSA has tons of resources to support you, project grants, supplies, tabling supplies. We have a speakers bureau and a network of leaders across the country. So don't hesitate to reach out.